Hey, Romesh, I want to start off by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, El Shai, Bashem, Dash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS and honors to brothers doing the work in truth while sincerity. This one was just on this BBC thing that I was watching. Can catch an iPlayer if you're in the UK. Don't know how you can get onto it if you're in the US. But it was, this geezer here is a British comedian, quote unquote. And it was, it was recommended, so I gave it a watch. And yeah, it happened to, be actually a interesting look into Haiti, right? So basically, the whole point of it, is of the 3-part series is, you get a guy, he goes to different places in the world, right? 3 different places that people wouldn't normally go on holiday to basically see the, whether it's worth going on holiday, right? And then basically he goes to Haiti. The first thing you hear about is the violence there, the wickedness, and obviously that's it goes back to the curses, right? You read let me get this in Deuteronomy 28:54. Right, 54 says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Right, and that's you see that with all our tribes, wherever they are, just a cesspit of violence. Them Latin tribes, they're just as bad, man. Right, so yeah, that's one of the things you come across. But the real thing that really is imposing in the documentary is the witchcraft, right? It goes into this this large this large shopping mall, right? But the only thing sold at this large shopping mall, right, is instruments for witchcraft, right? Where there's voodoo dolls, voodoo flags, whatever, what have you. And these guys are just all in there, not even under wraps or anything, not trying to hide. It's just there. And one of the things that I found interesting was when you had the, what do you call it, when I was talking about the earthquake that happened in 2010 or whenever that was, I believe it was 2010, right? Apparently this market got destroyed, right? But they said this is one of the first things that was rebuilt, right? Almost as if they didn't get the message that the Lord was trying to convey. Let me get this real quick. This is Hosea 6:4, right? It says, Hosea 4:6. Look, Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shouldest be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children. Right? So it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Right? And Israel is destroyed wherever they are. Right? But in that case, they be all up in that witchcraft, all up in that voodoo. Right? And that's going against the scriptures, man. Right? Scriptures say here in Exodus 22:18, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Right? But these Haitians, they don't seem to understand, right? So the Haitians, they were priests unto the Lord and leave, because they're the Levites, right? That's how we know who they are today, right? They're the Levites, right? And the Levites, what Levi means, joined to me. So the Levites were the priests of the Lord, right? And then, but now they've just gone left-hand side with it, right? They were saying, like I said, they had a massive shopping mall, right? And all they sold was voodoo dolls, right? And that's the thing, people, because this guy, he takes part in the voodoo ceremony because he thinks it's a light thing, right? But hey, that ain't something you play around with, right? Because these people don't have a belief in the what you call it, in the left hand side. They don't believe in the witches and the warlocks and all of that. Why? Because they're uninitiated, right? But the elites, they're all about that, right? In fact, let me get this real quick. Yeah, I mean, this whole chapter is good, right? But I'll just touch on this, right? This is Isaiah 47 and verse 9 says, but these two things shall come upon thee in a moment. Right, it's talking about, you know, the destruction of America. In fact, I kind of got to read into it. It's verse 7. It says, and thou hast said, thou shalt be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter of end of it. Right, so therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasure. Like I said, it's talking about Babylon. Read here, sit in the dust representing confusion, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Virgin daughter, because America's never really been touched, right? The times have been touched, they've been inside jobs, or they knew about it, right? It says given to pleasure, and like I said, that's America. You see all of the pleasures, they're all about pleasures in that land, right? That dwellest carelessly, that says in thine heart, I am and none else beside me, right? That's that pride, right? I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children, right? It says, but these two things shall come to thee in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Right? It's talking about exactly what it says on the 10. You know, multitude of sorceries and enchantments. America's going to be destroyed for all of that. That's why you've got road layouts that are the way that they are in the States. That's why you've got hot spots for wickedness. You know, certain monuments, right, that they have in different buildings, right? It's just ceremonies, even like the inauguration, right? You know, those are ceremonies that these guys commit, you know, in public, and then they have these people just joining along in mass, right? Let me read verse 12. It says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. Right, so from America's inception, the witchcraft has been a thing of a thing that's always been there, right? You also look at the story of Moses, right, where the Pharaoh's magicians, they were doing what Moses was doing for the most part, until the Lord had to make the difference, right? Until the Lord had to show them, look, man, I'm the guy. Right, because ultimately, you know, you get these demons, and you know, you got all these spirits on the left hand side. But what these heathens seem to not realize, or you know, is that they get their power from the Most High. They can't do anything, right, beyond what the Most High sets out. The example is given to you in Job, the 1st chapter, right? Where is it? Is I'll read Job 1 from verse 11. It says, but put forth thine hand now, right, as Satan talking to the Most High, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power. So the Lord is given Satan power over everything of Job's substance, right? It says, only upon himself put not forth thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of Yahweh. Right, so the Lord has basically said, look, man, do whatever you want to him, just don't touch him. You know, don't don't get at him, right? You know, don't kill him, right? So basically, Lord set the boundaries, and guess what? Satan obeyed those boundaries, right? Because he took out, he took out Job's, children, his livestock, all of that in one hit, but he didn't touch Job, right? Like I said, I say all of that to say this, these people in the world, they don't seem to understand that this is a spiritual battle, right? This is Revelations, Ephesians 6. I'm going to start from verse 10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, right? And that's these scriptures, right? So the word, and ultimately the word is Yahweh Shai, right? So put on the whole armor of the Most High, right? You got to accept everything that you read in the scripture, because in that way you can't. That's what it says, the whole armor, right? Because if you take in bits, then you will get offended at other bits, right? And then you ain't protected, right? You read Peter talks about how Satan goes about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. So if you ain't on if you've left yourself open because you didn't want to accept part of the truth, you only put on half the armor of the Most High. What happens in real battle if you've only got half the armor? You'll get knocked out. Right, it says that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Right, so when you come into this truth, and that's why we ain't supposed to be carnal men. Right, we're supposed to keep things spiritual, because our battle is spiritual. Right, we don't fight peons. We don't go out trying to fight your average man. Why? Because we've got bigger battles. Right, you got these people and these wicked elite casting spells, trying to get brothers to go off to go do this, that, and the other. Right, but that's why these scriptures are your covering. Right, but like I said, I say all of that to say, hey, I'm watching him. Hey, there's a scene where the first time he's trying to get this voodoo ceremony on lock. Several things keep keep fucking up several attempts, and I'm watching this. I'm like, yeah, that's the spirit saying, don't go down with this shit, man. Right? But hey, this is Genesis 49 and 1, right? It says, and Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Right? So this is what will be in the case in the last days. It says Simeon, right, and Levi are brethren. Right? So Simeon, being a Dominican Republic, Levi being hated, to share the same island, right? It says instruments of cruelty are in their habitations, right? It's talking about their witchcraft, man. Right, and like I said, you go through, you go through this documentary, and all you see is a whole load of witchcraft. I mean, the hotel he's staying at, the very front of it, you're like, yo, what the fuck is all of that? His guide is like, nah, that ain't nothing. I don't know what all that is, but the amount of phallic symbols that were all like, not even just symbols like a obelisk. They've legit carved penises. They've put pins in the penises and all of that, all in the front garden of the hotel, right? This is Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Right, it says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. Right, so all the curse, hate is cursed. Hate is a cursed land, man. You're watching that, you're like, yo, the worst thing is some of it's beautiful, right? What they say, something like, what is it, like the poorest country in the Western world, right? Them guys are living in abject poverty, right? They're through, right? This is and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. Right, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power. And what's one of the things the Lord said? Let's jump over here. Exodus 20 and 3 says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Right, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven or above, or that is in the earth beneath, right, or all that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahweh thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Right, so you ain't supposed to be going in the power of other gods. You ain't supposed to be doing this, doing that, doing all this witchcraft, right? You ain't supposed to be conjuring up spirits from the dead, right? But that's why all of that shit that they're going through. Why? Because thou hast not hearkened unto the voice of Yahweh thy power. Right, and ultimately that's all Israel. But we just mainly concentrating on Haiti at this point in time, right? But like I said, it goes on to say, and they shall, so to keep his commandments and the statutes which he commanded thee, and they shall be upon thee for a sign, as in the curses shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever. Right, so people come out and be like, yo man, they'll inquire of the sign, right? The 12 tribes sign, and I'll be like, yo, man, you know, how did you come up with that, right? And we tell them the history, right? And then it basically comes down to the fact of prophecy, right? You know, all of these prophecies, how we're able to say, you know, and ultimately it's the understanding of the scripture and the gifting of the understanding of the scripture, right? It says Amos 3 and verse 7, right? It says, surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophet, right? The prophets, right? So the understanding of these scriptures, the breakdown of these scriptures, who Israel would be in the last days, right? You know, who these curses will fall upon, right? They were revealed unto his servants the prophets, right? So this is what I wanted to get into. Ezekiel 37 and 16 says, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all those, and for all the house of Israel, his companion. Also Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and, you know, I was talking about the northern kingdom, right? And Judah and the children of Israel, his companions, talking about the southern kingdom, right? Judah, Benjamin, Levi, right? It says, and join them one to another into one stick, right? And they shall become one in thine hand. And that's where you see the sign, the 12 tribes sign, right? You've got, what you call it, you know, all the 12 tribes together, right? This is I forgot where that is. Let me get this, Isaiah around verse 10. Right, this is Isaiah 11. I'll just start from verse 11. Right, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. Right, so you're going to have the children of Israel scattered all over the world, right? And you know, that's a curse, right? Pursuant to Deuteronomy 28 and 64, which says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Right, so Israel were to be scattered amongst the heathens, right? It says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nation, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So Israel's going to be all over the earth. Right, so the envy of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. Now, you know, we don't have a lot of Ephraim over here in, you know, a lot of the Latin tribes over here in England, right? But, you know, of the few that we had, right, you know, we were cool, we were linking up, you know, we vibed together, right? But, you know, from what I've you know, heard of the apostles speak, right, speaking about how, you know, they've had a bit of animosity, and you see that between, say, an example is what's this guy Bruno Mars. This might be a, you know, a straight up Jake. You know, you've got, what you call it, you got Judah trying to be like, no, man, hey man, you ain't one of us, man. And you're like, yo, man, he's a prince of the power, man. So just talk about how Israel's the salt of the earth, right? And yeah, so basically this is talking about how, what you call it, you know, the southern kingdom, you know, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, so, you know, your so-called Negro tribes, right, your Latin tribes, you know, coming back together as one, right? You know, and they join them into one state, you know, Israel coming back together as one, right? But yeah, this has just been, you know, a quick response rather to this, which got this episode here, the Misadventures of Romesh, Ranganathan, right? And yeah, and Haiti, right? And like I said, I'd never really seen Haiti, you know, like just poverty, man, and the witchcraft side of things. And you know, I've heard some wild stories coming out. You know, personally, I believe, you know, I'm a Levite, and you know, my family come from Zimbabwe, and some of the stories that I heard out of Zimbabwe as well, you know, about the witchcraft that went on there, and it's like, yo, but Zimbabwe's through as well, right? So yeah, so Lord's all that was edifying, and till next time, I'll say shalom.